Your organization funds at least part of its operations through the dues and fees you collect from your membership. Here's how to create a new payment item and select the ideal combination of settings for it. Note that you'll update these same settings if and when you edit a dues item after you've created it. To collect payments online, you'll need to set up your payment processing accounts. Click on the Settings tab in the vertical menu on the admin dashboard to begin the process. Your Stripe account will handle credit and debit card payments. Your optional Plaid account takes care of ACH debits, so members can pay directly from a checking account. Note that you can invoice your dues and fees through your website without setting up online payments, but you'll probably want to do both. Otherwise, you'll need to enter payment information manually. As you work your way through this dues and fees process, keep in mind that some of the choices you'll make here are mutually exclusive. We'll point these out as we go and explain them so you can make informed decisions. To begin, click on the Payments tab to open it and the Dues and Fees tab to view and create your items. The first time you attempt to create a dues item, you'll see this screen, which gives you information about the process, refers you to help resources, and asks you to confirm that you're ready to dive in. When the Dues and Fees window opens, access the Dues Actions drop-down menu at the top right and choose Add New Dues Tier. First, give your item a descriptive name so you know what it is at a glance. Now enter the amount. Here's your first either-or decision. Do you want to charge late fees for tardy payments or enable members to make partial payments so they can split up the cost of an item? If you decide to add late fees, activate the checkbox to enable them. When you do, 2 additional data entry boxes appear. Enter the fee amount and then the number of days in the grace period between the due date and the date on which your late fee applies. If you prefer to use the partial payments feature, simply activate its checkbox instead. Just remember that you can choose one or the other of these 2 features, but not both. In this example, we'll continue with partial payments active. Next, here's another option to consider: passing through service fees to your members as part of the cost of this item. For example, you can use this feature to add the modest transaction fees for online payments to the invoice total and pass these costs through to members. Once you activate Enable Service Fee, decide whether you want to add a percentage of the item cost, a flat fee, or both. The default values equal the Stripe online payment fees. After you accept the defaults or enter your own values for either or both components of the service fee, you'll see how these values apply to a representative $100 charge. Your next choice determines how often this item invoices. The Frequency drop-down menu gives you 5 choices: annually, quarterly, semi-annually, or monthly for invoices that recur periodically, or one time for a dues item that only bills once. Next, select the basis for the due date. Your item can come due based on the date each member signed up for access to your website, or based on a preset date that you select. If you accidentally select a preset date that's in the past, the system will reinterpret that date into the future for you. Many dues and fees recur a specific number of times each and every year, but some only bill for a specific amount of time. If you set the End drop-down menu to None, your item will continue to invoice indefinitely. If you set the End drop-down menu to On, now you can choose the month, date, and year on which the item stops billing. For this example, we'll leave this feature turned off. Payment terms equal the number of days between when an invoice goes out and when it's due. The Terms drop-down menu gives you 4 choices: Net 15, Net 30, Net 45, and Net 60. We'll set this dues item to Net 45. Now it's time to designate who receives invoices for this item. Once again, you need to make one choice among several options. You can invoice everyone, select specific members, invoice all households, more about that in a moment, or select groups of members based on the tags you apply to them through their member profiles. The first of these choices, invoice all members, means just that. Everyone who's signed up with an account on your website will receive an invoice. Invoice individual members gives you access to the Invoiced Members drop-down menu, from which you can select one or more specific people individually. To remove someone you've added, click on the X to the left of their name. Invoice all households won't apply to your community unless you've activated and implemented the Households feature. This feature makes it easy to send only one invoice to every address, regardless of how many members live there and how many of them have accounts on your website. The Households feature also enables you to limit the number of votes a household can cast when you add an online poll or survey. If you activate Invoice All Households, you also can use the Invoice Empty Households option to send an invoice to addresses with no owner, with members who have not signed up for website access, or with members who don't qualify for household dues because of the way you've set up the feature. And if you'd like to learn more about households, we offer several resources to give you additional information. Your final invoicing option enables you to select from the list of tags you've created, both automatically every time you create a committee and manually when you designate members of a volunteer group or people who meet some specific criterion. You'll see a Select All checkbox at the beginning of the list of tags, but remember that that's not the same thing as Invoice All Members, because some members may have no tags applied to them. If you're wondering what happens if you don't select one of these 4 invoicing options, the answer is simple. Your dues item will not invoice anyone. That can be a way to set up a dues item before you need it. If you're ready to start billing this item, however, make sure you define who should receive it. The next checkbox determines whether this dues item becomes active for processing. If you're setting up a test item, leave this option unchecked. If your dues item is ready to go, activate it. Want to block members from access to members-only portions of your website unless and until they pay their invoice for this item? Activate the Required for Member Access checkbox so they'll be blocked, and remind it to pay. To see the invoicing and payment due dates for this item, as well as the number of invoices it will generate each time it bills, click on the Calculate Invoice Schedule button. Note that this button will reappear anytime you change an option that alters invoicing and payment due schedules. To see the actual payment schedule itself, click on the Payment Schedule link. When you're happy with your choices, click on the Save button to complete the process. If you need step-by-step instructions for the Dues and Fees feature, access the Help system from this icon in the Dues and Fees window. Please like this video if you find it helpful, and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel to receive notifications of all our new videos.